So here we are at Castulo, and the Romans have been forced to turn and fight. We see the light infantry spun around and smacked into one of them in-column phalanxes. Now, the rest of the phalanxes are going to deploy and drive them away. There's no question there. But it may provide some breathing room for some of the other units to either deploy in another line, to allow kind of this staggered retreat method or whatever. I wish I had done that earlier. I'm at 90 technical quality loss points. I've only got 30 left to reach that 120 hit. I don't think that the Romans can provide a fighting withdrawal with that many points only before they rout. But we've pretty much seen they can't just turn and run. Okay, so the Romans tried to build something over perimeter, and both the Carthaginian phalanx units have moved forward. You may notice I haven't been completely accurate in keeping everything flipped, especially with those phalanx. It's mechanically very difficult. I kind of hope to remember that I haven't done it. I'm not planning on walking away in the near future. Publius also launched his couple of legionary units against the lights that are here, and that's going to force the heavy cav to dispatch with his units. He has not been able to figure out an easy way to get home. If there's a break in the line, and there's sort of one here, he could try to make a dash for it, but it's kind of dangerous, and it just seems risky when he can do something of good up here, and he's got this cav coming back online, so we'll see. Because of the nature of this fight, I'm using the light infantry in a way that feels very different from how I usually use them. Usually I use them kind of as oh crap, you know, I gotta get something out of them, so I'm gonna throw them up, they're gonna get in the line, they're gonna throw their javelins, and then they're gonna fight. They're gonna actually charge, maybe try to do outflanks. Certainly with the mediums I do that. Or often they're just a defensive barrier preventing the Romans. Here they're walking up to the line, throwing their javelins, and just standing there and saying, hi, you don't do something about us, we're going to harass you. We're going to be really, really annoying. And that's especially annoying to these poor Triarii who just can't even respond. They don't have anything to throw back. The Romans have to expend commands to try to attack these light infantry, drive them out of the way. And then what? For what reason? To face a phalanx? Yeah, that's not going to be pleasant. So it's kind of an unhealthy situation for them where the light infantry are really not going to try, because they're not able to match. But in most situations that I've seen, things like Cannae, where the Carthaginians are on the offensive, Carthage wants to bust that Roman army fast, where they want to hit, when they actually do want to hit, they want to hit hard. And when the Romans are coming, well, they just view those lights as a speed bump, even when they're the good Iberian lights, which these aren't. I mean, we've got some skirmishers and some North African lights. Anyway, all I got left is our Massinissa and his Numidians, and there's not a lot of maneuver room anymore. He's going to try to reform and see if he can get some kind of at-J on the, that's not the right term, on the forces that Rome's putting to bear. But as Rome is building a line, the Numidians are becoming less valuable. They're tremendously valuable in pursuit. But facing a line that's anchored in the woods, I'd rather not waste them for that. I'd rather recover them and take advantage of the break that's going to happen. There's no question the Roman line cannot hold this off, two Carthaginian phalanx armies off forever. So you might as well have a healthy Numidian force to take advantage of it. It's going to slow the game down a little bit, but I don't want to play stupidly. Here we are at the situation at the end of the turn, and again, the Numidians move forward. They smacked a unit, a legion down. Well, one thing we're noticing, this I had to look up in the rules, the Romans have a complex retreat issue. They can retreat either where they came from or towards their camp. Either one is valid, and I didn't realize they were allowed to retreat this way, and I was getting really annoyed trying to retreat through the enemy, so I wanted to look at what that was going to be about, because really they'd have to skirt around and try to make their way back. Well, they're allowed to retreat to either. It's supposedly at the Roman player's choice, but honestly, it should be almost the opposite. It should be in the direction that you're closest to, and that's it. You know, because the Roman player may well rather keep his pieces on the board, and I would be kind of annoyed with that. Points for the turn, 12 for the Romans, 5 for one of those Carthaginian armies. I'm not sure whose. I think this is the fake Castulo. This is going to be Mago's army again. And the Romans take 12, which puts them up to 101. They're, you know, definitely fading fairly fast. It's just a matter of, with this kind of low impact Carthaginian move, that Roman army is not going to dissolve as quickly as it would otherwise seem. Poor Publius all alone now. His forces have been hunted down. He's got one cav back here. Doesn't look like, I mean, he may be able to limp his way back because the game's pretty forgiving. The leaders caught on their own, but so far he's just not having an effect on the battle. Interesting little sequence of events to start off this turn. This prefect here got a line command, surged, and before he actually executed it, Hanno actually tried to trump it. Actually, before he rolled for the line command, tried to trump in to prevent exactly what's happening, which is his columns of phalanxes from getting hit by those lights. Well, he failed, was finished. The lights came in, did some damage. We've got 2 dead phalanxes. That's like 28 points more against Mago's army. He's almost broken. There's a good chance he's going to break at the end of this turn, which really will make the game very even. The Romans have a chance without facing 2 phalanxes. If they can break one of them, then they can turn on the other one, or Carthaginian armies. They can turn on the other one, and maybe the Legion will be powerful enough, the advantages of the Legion, to defeat that. Even with some Numidian help, the Numidians are pretty well worn out too. One more unit goes there, and they're off the board. So now the Romans have turned and are fighting like a caged tiger here. Unfortunately, they don't have a lot of points themselves to spare. They have only 20, and they've got units routing off the map that they're going to have to stop. It's going to be hard to do with Publius back here. All right, but die roll of doom comes up. 1 ends up causing Hanno here, who had lost his command. Well, it hands in initiative to him because he's finished, allowing the Carthaginians to take an activation with him immediately, even though he's finished. And he helped things a little bit, smacked into some of the lights, and moved an elephant over to help defend these. But unfortunately, his phalanxes are in a lot of trouble at this point. His army may have just collapsed. Alright, well, on to see what the next little prefect back here can manage. The Triarii line actually moves forward in almost lockstep, just knocking away that light stuff. It was trivial for them to break it. But again, that was the best that I can do with it, that I could see, was move forward and use it to harass. Well, here, it wasn't too much harassment, but it has weakened those Triarii a little bit. Still got to try to decide how to handle this. If I can knock one unit out of there, I think I've broken that army. So, trying to figure out if there's anything I have that can kill a unit. I don't think I do. All I think I have is the ability to rout some, which could possibly be rallied. And the Romans push a little harder, asking even more from their Triarii line as it pushes forward. It's already acted this turn, but it pushes forward, cutting through some more of the lights, especially on this side, driving them through the Numidians, kind of disrupting things over there. But even more importantly, and this is why they did it, they landed a couple of blows on those phalanxes. Now, one of the Triarii just had enough and turned and ran, but another one managed to turn and scare away the phalanx after slamming into it. So far it's been pretty effective for the Romans this turn. Now we're back down to this Cav, and then we go over to maybe mainly Carthaginian actions except for Publius. I think everything else is gone. And now we see good old Hasdrubal has not only rallied all of his forces, and Bostar's involved in this as well, but less so, but he smashed that Roman Triarii line pretty much away. There's still a lingering of it over here, but the phalanxes have come in and have crushed through. He committed elephants to hit the wavering Triarii to just get some kind of extra ability to, get a little bit more leverage on those units, and that's going to make it a little easier for maybe the Numenidians to move in and catch around and maybe get some flank shots in around there. We'll see how it works out, but I think the Romans are pretty much collapsing here. They've already taken 14 points. What do they have left? They have 4 more. One more unit comes off the map and they're in trouble. And I think that's still fairly likely with the Numenidians going. All right, well, I've got these guys. The other Hasdrubal, who's not really Hasdrubal, to move. Well, we're seeing this whole Carthaginian flank breaking. They're doing what they can. I forgot to roll this combat. They got a schwack on that Cav unit, Roman Cav. But they're doing what they can with their units because they're going to be gone at the beginning of next turn, basically. They're going to just route off map. I may just remove them to make life easier, which I kind of accidentally did with the Iberians. They tried to push them one last time after they got a casualty. They actually failed on their first route recovery attempt on one of the units. And that pushed it over, so then rather than trying to rally units, they just charged forward, which maybe they should have done right to begin with. Pushed the units as hard as they could. Skirmishers, firing, firing, firing. And actually, just by standing there and firing and taking cohesion hits from firing so much, they ended up driving off the Roman units that were facing them, which is kind of neat. I didn't realize, if you could just continuously fire in most games, like musket games or something, you would probably do so. But in here, you don't really think about it because you have so many other units you can do. And firing doesn't seem terribly effective, but it's not completely ineffective. You're trading 1 for 1, though. You're taking a cohesion hit for every one you might generate. So maybe it does seem kind of silly to try it. Alright, I think we're done with everything except the Numenidians at this point, and I gotta resolve that combat. Well, the battle's over. Numenidians actually got a momentum. They got another one that I haven't put on play, but they've already wiped out this many Romans. What we've got going, that's enough. We got 14, 21, 35, 48, and we only needed 19. I don't want to pursue another round, and really all these units that I'd be using, I'd be pushing an extra space, except for this guy. This guy could probably charge in and hit something and finish it off, but there's no real point to it. The Roman army is breaking, but it's at the same time that this army is breaking. So what actually is happening here is the Romans lost, but they put a pretty good show for themselves, I think. It's kind of an interesting battle. I like the approach battle to begin with. I also like the multiple different armies that you have to keep track of the cohesion for, and maybe you can pull one force out of play in order to recover another, or in order to rely more on another one while one's trying to recover because it's a little too delicate to chance a fight. There's no real recovery though. Once you start taking real army morale loss, you can't get that back. The only question is, okay, if I'm slower on one side, I might not take as much army loss, and I might be able to manage something that I need at the end. Anyway, I had a lot of fun with this one. I'll load it up. Hope you enjoy it.